Hi, we will be speaking to you today about diffusion and how it relates to temperature. Diffusion is the movement of particles from a high concentration to a lower concentration, eventually becoming even through a semi-permeable membrane. Diffusion occurs with any substance apart from water, where osmosis occurs. Diffusion relates to the cells because it is the way that molecules move in and out of a cell. The main force that drives the molecules to move is the necessity for molecules to even out, inside and outside of a cell. Particles that are in a fluid move by random innate movements that eventually cause molecules to move inside and outside of a cell. At the start of a new environment where the cell is moved to, there is a higher concentration of a molecule outside of the cell, and slowly through diffusion, the molecules become even inside and outside because more molecules will spontaneously move in than moving out. In plants, diffusion mainly aids the plant by providing a means of transporting nutrients throughout the plant. It places these nutrients in the cytoplasm from the roots of the plant, or it moves from the cytosol, that is the intracellular fluid, to the cells in the endodermis, which controls the amount of water going into the xylem. Diffusion also occurs within a plant in relation to carbon dioxide. It diffuses into the plant from the atmosphere and evens out within the space in the leaves. Another important role of diffusion is moving photosynthetic products produced, such as sugar, through the phloem so it is able to move throughout the plant and spread the sugar and the energy. In animals, diffusion helps the movement of materials such as food and nutrients within the cells. The process of respiration is diffusion because breathing the air into the lungs of the animal enables it to, from there, diffuse into every other cell and therefore oxygenating the bloodstream of the animal. A similar process happens with the carbon dioxide within the animal. It is taken from the cells of the body and filtered back into the lungs and then out again.
We came up with an analogy to demonstrate how temperature affects the rate of diffusion. Suppose you have a party with lots of people. However, the people are all in the same room and have nothing to do but to talk to each other. The room represents an area where cells are present, and the people represent particles of a cell. In this situation, a relatively low energy party, the people would be less inclined to spread out. Now let's contrast this with a party that has a pool, a billiard table, and a bar for people to get drinks. In this high energy party, the people would spread out more easily. In these situations, low energy represents low temperature, and high energy represents high temperature. We then conducted an experiment to test diffusion rates. Our aim was to test the rate of dispersion of particles in a cell in different conditions. Our hypothesis was that conditions of higher particle energy or high temperature would disperse faster, and vice versa. Here we have our three independent variables: hot water, room temperature water, and cold water. First, we gathered hot water from a boiled kettle, room temperature water from a tap, and cold water from a refrigerator and placed all three in their own beakers. We then added 1 drop of blue food colouring into each beaker. We then left the beakers for a period of 5 minutes and estimated at each 30-second interval the percentage at which the food colouring had dispersed throughout the water. This process was repeated 2 more times and recorded in a table. These are the results from our experiment, the room temperature control group being the most consistent. We conducted an average of all 3 of the different conditions in order to compare them more closely. It was very clear to see that colouring in the hot water distributed the fastest, whilst in the cold water distributed the slowest. From these averages, we could graph the rate of dispersion. The conditions had a similar gradient despite their percentage differences. So how does this all relate to diffusion? Just like the party analogy, the 3 glasses represent 3 areas where cells are abundant. An area of high temperature has high particle energy, and an area of low temperature has low particle energy. When the food colouring was added, it dispersed quickly in the hot water and slowly in the cold water. The same as particles in a high temperature environment would move quickly through cells, and a cooler temperature would cause particles to move slower through cells. Thank you for watching.